Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Saginaw Valley State University Esports. I'm Aquatic, joined by my fellow caster here.
Sort of Blue Thunder.
We are so excited to have lied 2 streams ago and said that that was our last stream. We are back yet again for more Saginaw Valley Esports. Nationals for Overwatch. Huge round of applause to both these teams who made it in today. What's the other team?
Yeah, blue and red.
Oh yeah. Our blue and red team both made it in. 2 nationals, which is very exciting. So that means not only do we have this tonight, if it goes well, we might have even more in coming weeks. Very exciting, very exciting. What are we looking at tonight? What are we looking at? I did not catch what school we're going up against.
Idaho. It's a university in Idaho. That's
Idaho.
the most I remember, unfortunately.
Fantastic. College of Eastern Idaho. Welcome to any CEI people who are here in the chat. Welcome. Good luck. Have fun to everybody tonight. We expect a good game. I'm excited. These are nationals. These are going to be some of the best teams doing what they do best. These are going to be titanic clashes, and we're going to have some really awesome games for everybody tonight. I'm very excited. I think we're getting started in just a sec on Lijiang Tower to start, which I don't know about you guys, personal favorite maps. Sometimes they get a little funky, but overall you can kind of pick a number of different team comps. You can kind of rush, you can kind of brawl, you can play back on certain parts. This part of the map specifically tends to be more rush, like a quicker brawl kind of thing, maybe dive, but you can see some poke. Like once you get control of the point, you can go to poke. So both these teams will be able to choose team comps to their liking and get to maybe see some variety.
Yeah, that's definitely one of the benefits of Lijiang as a map in total. Is every map feels like, or like each part of like the general like Lijiang Tower feels like you can run a different comp entirely, and you still be able to like work it very well.
Yeah.
Some maps are better for poke. Some, like all of them, work brawl very well, I feel like. But then some of them are like a bit more pokey, a bit more divey. This one is like pretty straight laced brawl. Along like you have the brawl, but you also have rush, which is brawl plus almost, I guess you want to call it that. Just focusing a lot on speed, hindering their speed, and it's just a lot of trading backlines, especially in rush.
Yeah.
As we're going in, we do see that both teams are running mirrored Ramatra, mirrored May, and mirrored Juno. The big, I feel like the big potentially here for SVSU in particular is having the Junkrat there. Having Junkrat means that you can break down shields, break down Maywall really quickly, versus the Hanzo, which is a bit more calculated, can definitely hit the unexpected one shot on a certain character. But overall, like having the burst potential is huge for Rush because it just means that you will get a good wall off and everything's just gone.
Especially when dealing with the other person's tank. Junkrat is so good at checking the other team's tank and stopping them from doing what they do. You might have to adjust the frame rates for a sec. We didn't mention also this is Saginaw Valley's blue team that's going up first, and we will get Red's team after this match is done.
Yep.
A little bit later in the night.
And we do see an initial capture here by SVSU, kind of pinning off the CEI's tank. Just kind of pushed back. CEI trying to hemorrhage the incoming damage from SVSU, trying to get out, get a nice tactical reset for everyone. May again walling off the Ramatra, having them from very crucial walls here that puts CEI in a very dangerous situation. This is going to be SVSU has a lot of early pressure here. Getting a lot of early percent is going to be very huge because it guarantees you that even if you lose a fight and they retake, you don't have to worry so much about the time. You can just win one team fight, get the rest of the map completed.
Saginaw has a team that's a lot more oriented at dealing with the opponent. Junkrat has a lot more area of effect damage. As you can see, it's so hard for CI to get in through that choke point, and it allows Mega to push through and get that ult off, find the kill on the tank, and push CI all the way back to their spawn. They also have that Ana, which is really good at controlling the tank. On the other hand, CI has the Juno, which allows the team to go forward quickly, and the Hanzo to look for picks. But the difference is in whether you want to buff your own team or kind of hinder the other team. Sagnow's going for that hinder. But CI now on the Orisa going for a brawl comp. Works really well with the Mei back in the corner. Can't quite get out of there. Mega's in a tough spot, and the Mei's going to be pushed back and javelin into the team. Saginaw is going to throw the nano onto the Ramattra to keep everyone alive, but the the Kiriko ult to get through that choke point is going to give CI the advantage they need to burn through the tank. As you can see, Nattingham just slaughtering Saginaw, supported by his team. Really great timing from Sang there on the ult. Saginaw was just on that back foot, and throwing the Kiriko ult down that choke point was really good timing.
Absolutely. Just really made sure they kind of punished SVSU for how far the push up they got. They had a very crucial main wall that prevented the Mei and the Ramatra from getting back to the rest of Saginaw. Followed up by Orisa hijacking the Mei, getting a nice early pick on the Mei to prevent any potential comeback from Blizzard. Getting lots of early damage there in that fight really helped them. We see now them doing the same tactic that SVSU did, holding here at this very first choke. A very crucial choke to hold because it's very, like, there's only so few ways to get into the main building on Control Tower. So, like, by just locking this way off and forcing them to have to either try to contest the Hanzo going around the long way or like just trying to brute force this main hallway is going to be very crucial. We see SVSU coming in very quickly with, I think, the Juno ult followed up by CEI's Dragon. Kind of just, like, again, like, both ults kind of create, like, a mute point almost, kind of forcing everyone back a bit, giving SVSU the space to operate. We see Ramatra coming in, trying to get some early damage. Unfortunately, not being able to pick up the needed kills. We see Orisa coming out with with their own ultimate. I forget the name off the top of my head. Just picking up the rest of SVSU. They kind of turn this on their head, and CI is doing a really good job of holding this. Just the very brute, like, just having the standard wall there of Orisa just sitting there kind of makes it very difficult to SVSU because Ramatra cannot rush past an Orisa.
I love the plays that are being made too. From CI, getting the Orisa into the spots where they need to be, to find the javelins into walls, to get the critical headshots, to go for the javelin spins, separate people from their team. CI is doing a fantastic job of setting up their tank and letting them do their thing. Seer soaking up a whole bunch of damage. Mega's going to be able to run in and start getting some kills. Probably pop ult in the backline. We'll see, but trading kills back and forth. Not quite. There's the Mei ult on point, I believe. Oh, I missed that. No, what was that?
Yeah, no, there was a Mei ult.
There was a Mei ult, okay.
But we see Mega Pop coming in, getting a nice quick little nano from Ana before the Ana falls, allowing him to kind of come back with Annihilate, kind of be able to just hold the point, maintain the overtime timer to hope that the rest of the team can come back fast enough.
Oh, so low on health here. Mega is going to be kept alive by Saginaw's support line in the back and managed to rack up another kill. Mei is going to separate the team for a little bit. Won't be enough. Mega's still going strong. Juno ult, popping the laser beam from above. See, there it is. The old Orisa shield is back on the point. But no! Saginaw! They walk off point for just a second. This is what I was talking about with letting Orisa do her thing. Because Mega pushed up there for Saginaw, because the Ramatra went past and got off point, it allowed CI to use their cooldowns on Orisa to push everyone else off point. And Mega, not realizing that Orisa had the space to do that, and all of Saginaw's players got off the point there, either because they ran to go kill the backline or got pushed off by CEI's Orisa. And because there was no one there and no one was contesting overtime, and the timer just ticked over. Really good play from CEI. Really good play to notice that and take advantage of that.
Absolutely. It was very crucial for CI to kind of just end that quickly because they were running out ults to use there. And SVSU was coming back with their own ults. So, like, the ult economy was kind of looking not in their favor. So it really took that 1 second there, that one decision by Mega to kind of push forward, and CI to take advantage of that to really capture the point. Here we see SVSU coming in with the Sim, getting that nice early TP to point, securing the point for SVSU early. With Sim for the car washing makes it kind of hard, especially for Orisa kind of like come in and do her things as usual. We see Orisa took the barrier perk, which is very useful, kind of helping through this point because it gives you a little space from the beams from the Sim turrets. But even still, like, there's a pure damage that Sim can just hold out just because there's so much to farm off of. You got the Orisa shield now, you have the Mei walls. Like, you can just have a very, like, high-charged Sim beam just sitting in the corner there. We do see Mega getting walled off, though, unfortunately, into the Mei freeze.
The Mei freeze there. Wait, is that the new perk?
That is the new perk, yeah.
Mei has old freeze back and can freeze you with primary fire again. That was really critical. Using that Mei wall is so good at controlling the tank there. And once you go down, once you don't have that, it's really tough to keep going. CI is going to be able to blitz onto point, finish off the last couple of players here, and start the timer ticking up. Saginaw gets a little percent, gets up to 25, gets about a quarter of it, which might end up being a full team fight. We'll see. Might only need to win probably maybe 3 instead of 4.
Yeah.
We can see the different team comps here, though. Saginaw going for a much brawlier comp, throwing in the Reaper as well as having the Juno for speed. They just want to set up on the point and not let CEI through. They don't want to go out and like poke from afar. They just kind of want to sit in there, let them walk into choke points, right into the shotguns and the walls. Investing the Hanzo ult to split everyone off from the tank, and no one can be there to help support Mega on point. Down goes the tank. Saginaw's going to be in a rough spot. They're going to contest it for as long as they can, maybe try to make something work, but this Orisa is just going to town, setting up the rest of the team. No one can focus on anything, pushing all of Saginaw's remaining players into the DPS where they don't want to be.
Absolutely.
Nottingham is doing a fantastic job at crowd controlling and maintaining space. Mega's going in and trying to make those plays, and Nottingham's doing a good job at making plays of their own.
Absolutely. The Orisa's doing a very good job of maintaining the space necessary for their team to operate, keeping a little bit longer line of sight for the Hanzo to be able to get there effectively, because realistically, as soon as the Ramatra gets on a Hanzo, you're fighting a 4v5, and it's going to be very hard to do anything, We see Ramatra popping the arms early because of the wall climb from Hanzo. This could be kind of detrimental to Saginaw's process. We see them CEI's mail come out, getting some good picks. We see Reaper coming out on point to get nothing, unfortunately.
But all the zoning, the damage stacks up, and CEI has to back up. But no, there's the freeze. No, God manages to come out of it in time. There's a Juno ult on point from CEI. They're going to be able to keep going. No, I thought Saginaw had swung with the mail, but everyone managed to stay alive just long enough for CEI to take that.
Absolutely.
What a fight.
Absolutely great fight. Very crucial there is the utility from Mei Ice Wall. Mei Ice Wall, especially that last one, really just stopped the entirety of the Annihilate from getting any chip damage on the Juno or the Orisa, and let them kind of just be free to kind of pick off the rest of SVSU.
It's just so strong at this level. That upper level with the coordination that these players have to be able to throw up the wall and then play off of it. It's just an absolute joy to watch. Maybe this is because I play Mei, and I think that's cool. But something I found both teams doing really well, and this isn't something I pops out at me that often, but both teams, when losing a player, didn't immediately fall from there. Both teams were fantastic at playing down one or two players. I would see I'd see like a trade in the kill feed, maybe 1-1, and the fight would still keep going, or someone would lose a member early, and it would take a while. There'd still be plenty of fight to go on, and it wouldn't be over just immediately. Both teams having the positional awareness to keep playing around each other, fill the hole that eliminated player made, and keep the fight going was really cool. We got some pretty long fights from that. That was a good time.
Exactly. Though arguably, in some cases, you could argue that's a bit of a detriment, because if you're fighting 4v4, that makes sense to keep fighting the fight, because depending on who was traded for, if it's a DPS for DPS, you're going to be okay. If it's a DPS for a support, whoever lost the support's kind of in a rougher spot, you'd argue. And so from there, realistically speaking, I'd even say that instead of maybe continuing the fight, maybe you just take the reset, especially if it's early into say they just capped the point. You can just reset that. That could give you an entire extra fight, because you're not duking it on point and forcing the stagger.
This is fair, and maybe we'll see teams go for that. I saw both teams taking those 4v4s and making them even enough that that it looked very winnable for some of those. But you bring up a very valid point. That it didn't swing back and forth very often. The teams usually had the point for a while, and then the other had it for a sec and then swung. So there weren't a huge quantity of team fights. Each was long, and maybe the teams do need to take a second and go for more team fights there instead of trying to duke out the ones. But I respect the boldness. I respect the boldness to try to win the 4v5.
Absolutely. And even still, I'm not saying by any means you don't ever fight the 4v5, because in some cases you can still definitely make it work depending on what resources have been used, what ults you're deciding to use that fight. But it's a lot of these crucial decision-making skills that you're trying to make in fight as either as the team shot caller or as an individual player. Hey, I'm not hearing many call-outs right now, or the call-outs are kind of confusing. I need to have the collective state of mind to be okay, this is the current situation. Do we want to try to go for reset, or do we think we can win this by using an ultimate that they can't counter very well? Because in certain situations, they always had a Kitsune rush for a Juno ultimate. There was a very good ult tracking by CEI to maintain that, hey, we don't really need Kitsune to kind of win a team fight, realistically speaking. We can outbulk their comp at the current moment just because of how Fortify works on Orisa. We recognize this, so we're going to save Kitsune for when they have Juno ult, because at that point we can just Kitsune rush and just blast the heck out of him and basically just burst him outside of the Juno ult's healing range, you know?
That's a good point. Yeah, playing around the sustainability and whatnot. That's exciting. I love this game and love watching these players do what they do. Numbani is going to be the next map here. That's going to be the hybrid map. Bit of a hot take here. I think this is a great map, especially after the reworks. If you haven't played Overwatch in a while, a couple patches ago, the developers decided to rework the map a little bit. And while this corridor is somewhat similar, around the left to the side, you can already kind of see this the side's a little bit lower. The entry point here is very different. I know they changed the heights of some of the elevations. The spawn point for the attackers is also a whole lot more forward. It's quite a different map, and I think more open, more accessible, more exciting to watch. If you remember, this spawn door used to be a good like 20 meters back, and the walk from attacker spawn was not fun. Now it's a lot quicker, and there's also a whole room on the left that you can go through and get up to this high ground. This is kind of a new section or a reworked section that gives teams another way to get out of spawn. So, you know, you can't just sit right behind this bus as the defenders and poke them right as you come out. Kind of get up to that high ground early. I think it's really good now. I think it's a fantastic map and very fun to watch. And you get to see funny things like Torbjorn on this map. Yeah. This is one of the few maps that I reliably see Torb get played. So you can put it on put the turret in the back by the trees. There's a million high grounds to put it on. I think it's a good map for Torbjorn. Oh, and speaking of comps or of interesting characters, we'll get to see a fun comp here from Saginaw, running the monkey running the Winston for the dive, as well as the Sombra, the little bit of poke, and as well as the I'm interested to see what they're going to do with the Brigitte. That's an interesting addition.
Ooh, we see a lot of early damage coming out onto this Orisa, kind of just getting bursted down, forcing out all the defensive cooldowns from the Orisa here. Is kind of very good for Saginaw because it gives them a little bit of leeway, but they're kind of trying to like use an opportunity to get Sombra back there to get some kind of attention, force the attention split. As we said with some of our red team matches, like the priority here is always you're splitting attention. Ooh, that's a very...
Hanzo's gonna find one.
Yeah, Hanzo found one. Gotten back by Squishy, but there's too many lost pieces for SVSU to really come back, even there is no more frontline tank.
Going for the switch potentially? Looks like. I'm gonna bet maybe... Okay, mate, go for the map. Makes sense.
Oh, go ahead.
Leading into the brawly part of the team comp, the the Reaper, looks like Saginaw is going to try to just burst through here. Going to say, hey, we're going to throw an Orisa who has a lot of health at this door. We're going to put a support with a shield and 2 DPS with a bunch of utility to help get through there. And yep, that's going to work. They're going to be able to get through that doorway and start a fight. Hanzo mains will find a pick as they go through, but at least Saginaw got out of the door. Will start getting pushed back now that they're down a player. As we said, trying to maybe reset a little bit more, not getting quite as aggressive. Yeah, poking.
Unfortunately, the Reaper did also get picked off by the Hanzo main as well by a Storm Arrows. This is kind of a very rough hallway for SVSU to kind of fight for, it feels like, just because you've got a lot of side pressure there. It's very, that's kind of why, me personally, I don't enjoy Numbani, because it feels like no matter which aisle you're taking, there's always too many angles for you to properly defend from. Because even coming out through this doorway, you have to spend the main wall to protect the angle. You can't really use it to block off a tank or block off a DPS, because you have to use it as a defensive tool to get through the doorway. Or if you have a shield tank, yeah, you can shield across it, but then you're leaving yourself open to the high ground still. So there's just a too big of a trade-off, it feels like, realistically. And then even if you go through the main aisleway, then you've got all the high ground staring at you, which is the worst possible option. So it's just it means you have to do a very, very controlled, very either we're all full sending this or we don't send it yet. And you have to really just learn and try to pull out cooldowns as best as possible. You have to pull out the Orisa Fortify. You have to pull out the Storm Arrows, because Storm Arrows in that cramped room is guaranteed to get a hit, and it's a lot of damage.
That's gonna do a lot of damage.
You know, there's just so much there. We see, kind of coming off of this, though, we do see that SVSU kind of going for their round play, taking the very long far path. Orisa missing the jab to kind of force off the Reaper. Reaper taking a bit of space there.
Oh, that's really scary to get into, but they're going to be able to get the spear and isolate the Orisa, find the kill. This is what Saginaw needs. Now that the opposing team doesn't have a tank, CI is going to be in a rough spot. There's the Orisa fortified just to help clear things up. Mega's going to go actually down to the Juno, making things a bit more even, but everyone else will fall for CI, and Saginaw will get the point. You do bring up a good point about trying to walk through the high grounds. The only entrance onto point that isn't the high ground is through that tiny doorway, which Saginaw tried to get through for the majority of this match so far. And they did manage to make it work, but only because when the Reaper teleported on the high ground to make space, there's just a slight mistime on the Javelin. I think if that landed and the attention wasn't brought away by the Reaper being up there, Saginaw might not have made it through there. That is a good point. They did manage to make it work. Spreading out a little bit, trying to get this cart pushed, trying to have plenty of space, let it push comfortably. Hanzo Main keeps finding these picks right at the start. Fantastic job there.
Absolutely. We see the Reaper going for the quick little TP play, trying to
there's a Hanzo Main.
Unfortunately, the Hanzo was in the room waiting for him. We do see progress though coming out from SVSU. They are kind of like CEI's being good about their spacing, and as such, they're pushing themselves back. We see Rally coming out, followed up by CEI's Kitsune, taking a lot of the space back, even through Rally. SVSU cannot find the offensive pressure to go through the Rally, or not the Rally, the Kitsune. So kind of really just forced a reset here. SVSU might have pushed the cart, but now it's farther from them, so they can't really, it's harder going to be for overtime if they get stuck here.
I'm intrigued how Saginaw's going to push through this now. With the Orisa Shield perk now from CEI, they're going to have to do something like the wall there to try to deal with the Orisa. Or alternatively, they can do what they're going for now and push into the room, take a whole bunch of space. They're going to invest the Hanzo ult to break up the team and get a bunch of damage. That'll slow Saginaw down as they have to heal up for a second. They say, we're going to be the defenders now. We have the high ground. Oh, this is fantastic. The Reaper's still on the ground making space. This is wonky. The teams have traded positions. Saginaw's now approaching from the defender's side while the attackers are defending on the cart. Orisa ult's going to go for the spin. We're going to see a Reaper ult as well. There's the laser from above. Kills back and forth. Who's going to come out on top? I think Saginaw's in a rough spot. Their health pools are a bit lower.
Yeah, Saginaw's unfortunately too much of a rough spot. It's kind of just the Ana back there, unfortunately. So yeah, they kind of forced the reset to back to the original positions of SVSU coming right out of spawn. Oh, that insane amount of burst damage. That was rough for Mega there, getting 100 to 0 in an instant. This is definitely like a rough chokehold. The combined staying power on Orisa along with two people that can just poke out at really long ranges for a lot of damage is very difficult for SVSU to kind of get through. We do see SVSU though getting a nice early pick on the turret, which kind of is going to be useful because it means that you're not going to get a random support sniped off in the middle of the team fight. We see him pushing forward, baiting out a decent amount of the Orisa cooldowns. Does SVSU? I think SVSU has the offensive pressure to do this. It's just a matter of can they manage to find the first step? We see the Hanzo Dragon coming out. Ooh.
That's going to find one, but the Torb ult might make a little bit of space. Saginaw still has the Orisa spin as well to try to get a couple of early picks and make something happen. Geeks trying to get the freeze. Will get picked off by Nattingham, who's just a monster in the front line, racking up kill after kill, putting out the damage.
Yeah, that means SVSU only makes it halfway through point one. Who just went flying? Oh, the Sojourn.
Squishy from above.
The Sojourn from above trying to get that last minute touch. Unfortunately, just a little shy of it. Very good round for both players. I don't know. I feel like I say this a lot, but I feel like teams tend to get very stubborn on Numbani.
Stubborn is a great word to put, yeah.
Because they really, Numbani is one of those maps where it's a tried and true. Like you play a map, you do a strategy, whether it's through that hallway or around, and it'll always work for you, and you always go for it, and then you never change from going for it because you know it's what works, and it just doesn't work, and you don't want to try anything new.
It is a map that does not quite encourage the teams to change. Yeah, I would hazard to put. I never have really considered that, but thinking back on my experiences, that is kind of how things go. Teams will kind of bash their head into a choke point until they break through or run out of time.
And even then, it's not even like that's necessarily a terrible idea. Some apps, you do better working that way.
Yeah.
Numbani is one of those where all the main routes to the point are relatively similar. So you could afford to have that adaptability to be like, okay, if the high ground's not going to work, let's try for a side route with someone going up on the top side for a flank, splitting attention, because they're all right there. You can easily get away with it because you're not going to be too far from the teams by splitting. Meanwhile, on a map like Numbani, for example, all the side routes are really far out. They're really kind of spread apart from the team, so you can't really afford that adaptability of being like, okay, we'll have a center flanker because you all have to go to the same way at some point, and then it's like a small little deviation at the end of it.
Good point. That's a really good point. The map plays out in a weird way sometimes. Okay, Juno Ring looking quite similar to what we've seen before. The Orisa on Orisa trying to fight through this choke point. Looks like SEI is having about as much luck as Saginaw did. They're pushing through a little bit, but now that Mega's down, they might be able to push through. There's still a bit of pressure. The Sim teleport to get into the backline. What a smart play!
Ooh.
Finds the kill onto most of Saginaw's backline, and now they can just play the 5v3 on point. Fight out with the Mei. They're a little spread out, but they're still finding the kills. Everything's falling. Just the Orisa, I believe. Oh, Orisa and Juno. Oh, wait, where are all the defenders coming from? I thought they all died. Nope, they're still here.
The defenders are still there, unfortunately, for SVSU. We see not Nottingham kind of just being able to take a lot of offensive pressure now that there wasn't really anyone could test them any further. Taking a lot of forward space, making sure to hold this front corner, but still being able to, like, especially with Juno, being able to just run back instantly for heals is very crucial for this. Because you never want to get pulled out and just like taking like half HP and forcing a lot of support resources. I think did SVSU get split up by the by the spawn change when they capped it? I can't really tell, unfortunately.
They might have. They're all back now.
All back now, but that could have been like a very crucial point where you saw like I just run in with Orisa and just getting a nice quick kill on the Mei. And now we're going back into what we saw kind of on the last part of this round here, just like. You're sitting at the corner, Orisa versus Orisa. Who's going to get damaged first? Kind of good thing for SVSU, though, is that we do have Lindsay on Zenyatta. Getting that Discord orb could be very huge because it's just a guaranteed damage multiplier on a target.
It's one of the few things that can deal with a huge amount of Orisa's health pool. That spin's going to get everyone inside of it, investing the strength there, the Transcendence to keep everybody alive. That's going to be resources. And the Mei ult and the Baptiste window. Saginaw's going to hold on, but now they only have 2 ults in the bank to CEI's 4 ults.
Yeah, this is gonna be a kind of a rough hold for SVSU. There's a lot of ults there that kind of got popped and did very little, which is unfortunate for SVSU. You had the BAP window that got pushed past real quick, so you couldn't really take advantage of that. And the Trance that definitely won in the fight, but at the start of it could have been worked out very poorly had the Mei not blocked line of sight with the ice block.
We're going to see how this pops up here. There goes the sim wall right at the start. Block things off and get SEI, let them fight from the side. The Dragons are going to split up Saginaw, find 1 kill in the back line. That's going to be critical. Healing's going to be rough in the front line. We can see Mega's low on HP. The spin does find some. Can they find the kills? No, both support ults are going to come out from CEI, and they're going to manage to keep all their players alive and push the final little bit there. Bob trying his best to shoot from the side. But CEI's going to take it. That'll be map 2 for them. This is best of 5, if I'm not mistaken. So we will 2 out of 5 potential matches done. Yes. CEI up 2-0.
Absolutely.
I don't think I've seen that highlight intro before.
That is part of the Battle Pass, I believe, because that's the Juno Mythic in particular. That is part of the Juno Mythic, because the Juno Mythic's speed ring is actually in the shape of a heart.
Oh, that's so fun.
Yeah, it's Doki Watch, if I remember correctly. Is
I think that's the name. Yeah, I think that's the name.
Yeah.
Fun map. If you're crazy like me and enjoy Numbani, or
you're not crazy for enjoying Numbani. Come on now. I know there's plenty of people that like Numbani. I'm just not one of them because I also get stubborn and I like banging my head against the wall. And Numbani I can never break.
Well, nice. It's always good to have some discussions like that on the mic here. 1 to 3 more maps left. We're gonna see how this shapes up. And we always forget we're not good at this. What kind of map type are we up with next?
I believe next is push.
Push map. Okay, push.
Yes, because I remember.
I'm getting the thumbs up from behind the desk. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank. Which push?
Banning Esperanza.
And Esperanza. And our other option is we have New Queens. Oh,
I was about to say Cervasta. That's not it.
Non-koi, that's Flash, right?
Yeah, that's Flashpoint. New Queen.
Oh, this is bad.
What's the other one? Coliseo
and
Runasapi.
Yes, Runasapi. I forget about that.
Which is unfortunate. I really like Runasapi. I like playing it. It's a very pretty map. Especially in comparison to the other push maps that kind of feel samey because all the architecture is very similar. Runasapi is a very nice
breath of fresh air.
Yeah, thank you. I can't speak, I guess. But
we're not very good at that. It's not our strong suit.
We play video games for a living.
we can yap, but English. Yeah.
I don't know. Like, what do you like seeing out of push in particular?
What do I like seeing out of push? I've enjoyed push because of the types of engagements I think it enables. Having the robot in the center as as a centerpiece to the fight is really fun for me as a tank, especially as Orisa. That little bit of natural cover where teams are forced towards each other to fight over means I'm kind of just kiting around and playing that and like popping out and throwing some cooldowns. And I really like the ring around the rosy with the other team and in those brawly situations. Of course, especially as Orisa, who I play quite a bit, Orisa and Zarya. I like the kinds of team fights that play out. I think they're a lot of fun. Obviously, there are once the bot gets pushed pretty far, it can kind of be hard to make comebacks on the maps, but that just means when they do happen, they're really high. And it's really cool. And I think when you have those moments, even if they're rare, they're so much fun. When you push it from like all the way and you go and like win 3 overtimes and 3 fights and you're pushing and you're like, are they gonna make it? They started at like 100 meters down. Or that last little push right before the end. I think the fights are fun to watch. I like the fights.
Exactly, especially because like it's not even like you're 100 meters down. You're 200 meters down.
Oh yeah, you're all the way on the other side.
You gotta win that 100 back and then go get that extra 100 or like however many you've pushed. Like the difference between how much you pushed and what the goal is. Like I don't know. Especially like those overtime moments, it can definitely be very hype. But then equally, you have the moments where you just curb stomp a team and you're like, I sat in queue for a 5-minute game.
That's true. It's good variety. And I think on a number of the push maps lend themselves to fun team comps, and that's not necessarily a quality of push as a game mode, but at least the maps that were made. I think Coliseo, especially without the glass, is a lot of fun. You can throw some long sightline characters down there. You can throw Widowmaker, Hanzo, Ashe, or you can try to weave around those pillars and get through there with like a brawl, like a Ryan. This is a map that I see Ryan get played on, which isn't always the case for a lot of maps. He doesn't get played too terribly often. So I think the variety here is a lot of fun. I see Rush is decently common. I see Dive. Yeah, Queen can be really popular. I quite enjoy throwing 2 big tanks like Orisa, like Zarya, Reinhardt just bashing into each other exactly like this in the front line. You can see Saginaw is going to have that mega on Orisa right there, taking the brunt of the force, while the rest of the team says, "Hey, you do the cart thing. We'll go shoot them over here." All the rest of the characters are a lot pokier for Saginaw. On the other hand, CEI is running. Oh no, I take it back. That's pretty similar. Zarya is going to stay on the front line, while the rest of CEI is going to play a little bit more back. So this will be fun. We get to see the tanks position themselves and try to make space and win the frontline battle as best they can. Kind of shoulder the other tank out of the way and let their team get that backline damage through. We're gonna might see some one-shots coming out from this part of the map.
Exactly. Kind of like when I was going into this, personally, I was just thinking, how is SVSU gonna break through the Orisa? Like, you can Orisa 1v1 all day, but like, how do you realistically get through the Orisa? And while it's not necessarily an issue now, you still have to question, like, you have to break through the Zarya at some point because you have to worry about the bubbles, you have to worry about the charge, but you got to break through her at some point because otherwise she's just gonna sit there for free and it's gonna be a pain.
That's a good point. You can't just let her sit.
Exactly, and especially if you're gonna run Orisa here, like the beam goes through spin, so like you're waiting until you get the shield perk, obviously. But even still, like there's a level of like, ooh, that's a lot of burst damage though.
Ooh, Hanzo main finds the headshots and will burst down mega on the tank there.
Yeah, very unfortunate for SVSU losing a lot of forward pressure, a lot of time honestly out of this too. Just because like you're now down a tank, meaning you kind of have to force the regroup here because you don't have literally anyone to be able to really duel the Hanzo, unfortunately. Like you can Hanzo 1v1, but that's not really reliable. You can't have someone to just be like a giant wall and be like, hey, you gotta shoot me to get through the other Hanzo,
That's a good point. Saginaw are going to switch up their tactic here and switch their tank to also more of a pokey situation. Squishy, what a shot there onto Hanzo main. We'll find the kill. So Saginaw now up a player. We're going to see what they can do with it. Still pushing. CI still getting forward progress. Mega's going to be able to hop down there and stop that. Oh, and the arms just do it's so much pressure. Getting to the back line. A lot of pressure onto the Ana. We'll find the kill. Sorry, I can't quite keep everybody alive, but we'll get a little damage out and probably get some ult charge. Notoriously a long ult to build. Graviton Surge, Zarya's ultimate, takes forever to charge up. However, Zarya can output a lot of damage when fully charged, so it can kind of balance out if you make huge plays. Mega finding a lot of chip damage there onto onto the CEI's players. Hanselwald will zone off though, and there's the Graviton Surge we were talking about. The Lampkin might just be the counter as well as the Transcendence. Sorry is actually now on the back foot despite landing a huge ult. Mega might be able to finish it off, but no, CEI supports are just insane. CEI supports are just insane.
Honestly, CI supports being the GOAT there, keeping the Zarya alive just barely long enough for the ball to come back to guarantee the Zarya's get the health back. We see Orisa, or the Ramatra just trying to stall the bot, trying to prevent as much progress as possible, which has its perks and has its pros and cons. But with this situation entirely, like, you've really kind of low-key boned your own teammates because you've staggered so hard.
Hey, and sometimes that happens. I've been there so many times where I'm still fighting and I didn't pay attention to the kill feed. It's really easy to do, especially in a game like this.
Oh yeah.
There's a lot that goes into this. There's a lot of focus, attention, and energy it takes to play Overwatch. And kill feed is just one more thing. Oh, but there's Mega getting again a lot of damage into the backline. The sleep will stop the forward momentum, but nope. There's the ult, right? Yeah, there's the Ramatra ult. Yep. Going to output a lot of damage. Mega and Squish are going to find some kills. Geek finds one. CI is going to be on the back foot. Now Saginaw has the shot to make some forward progress. At least more than 4 centimeters.
Yeah, absolutely. Honestly, this is kind of good for Saginaw.
6. There we go. I looked at a 6 and said
4. 6 isn't really that much. Yeah. But no, this is definitely good for Saginaw because it resets the game state. Which is, some people's complain about push is you reset the game state too often, but it's a very good thing most of the time because it means that you always have you have an equal chance of doing good as you do bad. You're never gonna just get steamrolled, hopefully.
Yeah.
We do see though Juno kind of being hyper aggressive here, getting that ring in. We see the Torb coming in against SVSU's Dragon though, and the window.
So much damage. Oh, the Dragon from Hanzo main and the shots from the side to clean up some extra kills. Cutting Mega off. Oh, that's going to be a lot of damage. Let's see if Saginaw can actually get out of here without losing too many players. Down goes a few of them. Oh, are they going to have to be in the room? Mega might get caught out in the room there. Yeah, okay. Gonna commit and try to find a kill before going down. I don't hate it. We'll find the kill.
And if not, even still, like, pulling out a crucial resource like Nade, though, is kind of useful because it gets rid of Ana's initial burst option that doesn't need a skill shot, you know? So it also make sure that like your teammates have a little bit of time to just kind of reset because Ana can't go at full force. If you get a lot of burst damage onto a target, it's gonna you really force the CEI back a minute. Can SVC though kind of like they're fighting the duel on the bridge? Can they get the flank? We see the flanking overclock into the
flank the sleep dart. CEI supports are insane. Finds the sleep dart on the overclocking Sojourn. Saginaw's gonna try to put something together here with the Kiriko ult. Hanzo main's getting low. We'll have to retreat. Saginaw to take advantage, but I don't know. Without a tank, it's really difficult.
Absolutely. I don't think SVSU supports have either Lamp and they just use Suzu.
Are they going to do it? Are they going to?
I don't know if they can.
Oh, they don't need it. They don't need it. Can't quite make it out. Oh, it's a really rough spot to be in. CI's about to get to that last little bit. Saginaw doesn't. I don't know if they have anything. Can they even touch in time? No, the Graviton Surge to stop them. And that'll do it, Saginaw. We'll get capped there with the crowd control. Wait, Mega! The Mega touches! The orbs, it touches for... gets overtime for a second, but CI will win it. Push it all the way to the end and take the map 3-0. That'll be all that we have for B team. Fantastic game there. That was a lot of fun to watch. Hanzo main, big shout out. Big shout out to all of CEI's players. Hanzo main always in the kill feed. Nattingham finding all of the space on the front line and supports keeping everybody alive. Really well played, CEI. Well played.
Hanzo main's really, honestly, in my opinion, Hanzo main really sticks to the namesake.
Yeah.
Because I'm just watching that play of the game. I'm like, I'm not seeing any heads there, and he's just clicking.
And they're just fine
consistently.
I think I've gotten rolled by that player in comp one time. That name is so familiar to me. I feel like I've I think I've lost to that man in comp.
which honestly is kind of fair. The dude's kind of a go.
That's kind of go-to player right there.
Like he has his like sense of like he doesn't have the like not only does he have the aim mechanics, but he also has a sense of this is where the team's generally set up in. My arrows are the size of a dump truck. Let me just
let me throw logs from across the map. Yeah.
As the general meme goes, but in all seriousness though, that does take a bit of skill. It's not as entirely skillless as we make it sound.
You gotta make for head levels especially. You have to know the arc and how much it's gonna go down. But huge GGs to everybody. That was a really good time. Congrats to CI. They'll get to keep going in playoffs. And Saginaw's B team will have to take the wait till next season to keep going. However, that's not all that we have for Saginaw Overwatch as a whole. We'll have a teams match coming up, I believe, starting at 8, which is in
10 minutes.
like 10 minutes. So we'll take a little break and let them get set up. So don't go anywhere. We still got more for you all. Have a good one. Have a good break, I should say. See you in a sec.